China has Xiangsheng, or crosstalk. Today, it also embraces stand-up comedy. Humor transcends boundaries. A heartfelt laughter, a moment of fun. Tune into World Insight with Tian Wei for an encounter with 4 comedians, laughing our way to the Year of the Dog. Hello, I'm Tian Wei, and welcome to our Spring Festival special series of World Insight with Tian Wei on CGTN. They say a life without humor is a life wasted. Well, we cannot afford even to have a second wasted in our lives. So today, we're going to have a cram course of humor. As you may know, humor transcends borders. But how are we going to do that? We're going to have 4 masters of humor coming from different cultures joining us.
One microphone, a skilled comedian, a barrel of laughs. Over the years, traditional Chinese crosstalk, or Xiangsheng, has gained popularity in the West, with international performers coming to China. For some, the format provides an insight into Chinese culture and sense of humor. At the same time, some Chinese comics have proven to be good in reeling in audiences in the West.
My name is Tian Wei. But to most people, I am known as Wu.
This video went viral in 2010, introducing Chinese to an unfamiliar form of entertainment, stand-up comedy. This particular brand of Western comedy became popular. Performers also tried to mix the stand-up format with Chinese soul. In modern China, where the East meets West, audiences are treated to more choices of humor.
So now we are sitting down, the 4 masters.
Are we?
We have.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Happy Spring Festival.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, we need to introduce one by one, right?
Okay.
Sure.
Jesse Appel, a boy coming from Boston,
That's true.
who is now living his absurdist dream of being a Chinese comedian.
That's what I'm doing.
You're actually right.
That is correct.
And dream on. It's a bizarre world I found myself trapped in.
All right, we're going to explore how bizarre it is a little bit later.
Yeah.
David Moser,
Oh.
an American comedian who has got a PhD degree,
Yes.
meaning having meaningless knowledge being piled up higher and wider.
Deeper.
Deeper, there we go,
Higher,
PhD,
deep,
right?
piled higher and
Piled
deeper.
higher and deeper.
pH deeper.
Right.
Julian,
Yes.
let me do your French name right. Julian Foucault.
No.
No, no.
Good one. I thought I had taught well.
Yes,
But
okay.
it's nicer
Julian
like
Gouchois.
Yeah, that was a king's
Movie
name back
character,
then.
right?
Yeah, good fun. Good fun.
Yeah, yes, good food. So he is actually been failing constantly providing me with a WeChat version of his brief introduction.
Oh, that sounds like
It's
him.
very serious.
That sounds
yes.
like something he would
Try the
do.
Facebook.
Yeah.
And then I only got a version coming from David. So I'm going to read that version.
Terrible.
Be prepared for this.
Okay.
A failed Frenchman,
Oh, that's true.
a failed restaurateur,
Yeah, that's true too. Okay.
a failed cellist,
Okay.
but eventually a successful comedian.
No, failed too.
Failed too.
Yeah. I'm working on the cellist part. and we'll see
Good for
how-
you.
And apparently failed friend too.
You've got several of them here.
You finally got the message.
Good to know,
Yeah.
right? Finally, the new year. And
PhDs
last,
have a nicer way to put things.
yes, there we go.
So another PhD.
Another PhD.
Another PhD, biochemist,
Yeah.
Huang Xi, turned into a comedian
Yes.
who claims to be able to create chemistry with anybody at any time, at anywhere.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive.
That's impressive.
I'd love to create some chemistry with you somehow.
That'd be good.
So we are here for the Spring Festival. It's great to have you guys come to my studio. You know, Spring Festival always it is very special. I guess every one of you has a special story related to it. Jesse, you've been here in China like ages.
I've been here 5 years now. This is my 5th year.
Okay, 5 ages already.
5 ages already.
It's way too long for
Age,
Way too long.
Neolithic age, the Jurassic age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the new era.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about that Spring Festival celebration?
Spring Festival, my most memorable Spring Festival story was the first time that I went to the countryside to do Spring Festival.
Where?
I went to a village of a friend of mine, Song Qiyu, who you might actually know.
Yeah, I heard about it.
He comes from a village of 300 people.
Really?
Yeah. The whole village is one high rise.
That exists in China?
Yeah. So he's like, you should come to my village for Chunjie, but all the tickets were sold. So what I had to do is I had to buy
You have a show there?
I didn't even have a show. I was just going.
Like tickets were shown.
Let this guy tell his story, please.
Context. The train tickets were all sold. The only way that we could get there is he's like, there's this 10-hour bus you could take that passes by the village, but doesn't go to like a bus stop.
Okay.
It's just like on the highway, it passes by his village.
They just throw you out.
Well, so the plan was literally that I was going to wait until I got near his village and tell the bus driver to let me off on the highway where he's waiting. He said, 我有车来接你. It's like, I have a car to pick you up.
So you have to recognize the segment of the highway.
Exactly.
Okay.
So again, you're smarter than I was at the time. You realize there are flaws in this plan. this plan, as it turns out, was not as good as it needed to be in order to work. So after 10 hours on this bus, it's midnight. I'm looking on the side of the road just waiting for a car. I see headlights. So I'm like, let me off the bus. I take all my stuff. I get off the bus, and the bus goes, and that car goes too. And I'm standing there, and it wasn't his car. My phone dies because it's too cold.
Okay.
And so I'm like, the only way I'm going to get this phone back on, I have to take out my laptop, open up the laptop, plug the phone in, plug everything in, get my bag around my shoulder, and walk down the highway in the general direction of where this village that I've never been is.
Wow.
And every time that the car would come, I'm like, there's 0% chance they're looking for this like random American on the side of the highway at midnight with the bag and the computer and the phone walking down the highway. So every time I see the lights coming, I'm like, this is how my story ends. Eventually, I managed to I figure out where he is. We get over there, and he said, 我有车来接你. It's like, I have a 车, which normally means car.
Yeah.
But in this case, meant his elementary school's best friend's motorcycle.
Oh, that's cool.
And I knew that because the elementary school best friend was also on the motorcycle. So we had a 3-person motorcycle ride all the way back to the village, and eventually had a great time there with everybody. And it turned out to be the best Chunjie ever. But in the interim, I almost died.
I'm so happy that you survived it. You know, we should give you applause, I think.
I would have thought he's a spy. You know, it's cell phone.
It wasn't,
007, yes, indeed.
it wasn't immediately clear. If anybody had stopped me, there was really no explanation that would have made sense.
No.
Because even the plan, again, you heard the original plan, which was not very good. I wouldn't have believed that plan if somebody told me that was the plan.
Yeah,
so
but you even went with it. You
I
know?
went with it. I think that's part of the fun about doing something is like, you know, I haven't done Chunjie before. To me, that was actually normal. Because I've never done this before. Why not?
For Chunjie, people stay at home.
Yeah.
You found another way.
I found potentially the most difficult, un-Chunjie-like way of doing. Yeah, I was the drifter. That was my drifter Chunjie story.
What about yours? Is that a drifter story?
Yeah,
No. Yeah, Chunjie, everyone always says, you know, oh, Chunjie, that's like you're a Christmas, right? It's your Americans or Westerners are Christmas.
Yeah.
I say, yeah. But there's one really big difference that always bugged me, which is for Christmas, it's about the kids. You give them the gifts and stuff, and they open the packages and stuff. In China, they have this thing called the hongbao.
Yeah.
And it's giving them money. You know, and I always say, no, you don't want to give a little kid money. It changes their whole way of thinking. They become very mercenary and money grabbing. You know, they lose their innocence. You know,
As if you didn't want it.
yeah. So the first time my daughter, this is a true story. This is absolutely true. My daughter is like 8 years old. The first time she got this hongbao, you know, the relative comes in and says, hey, do you want to give her? And she goes, what's this? He took out, what's this? 3 100 kwai notes, you know.
Wow.
And she's like, whoa. What's this? What are we supposed to do with this?
Alice in the Wonderland.
Yeah, we said, you can spend it any way you want. You know, you can spend it on anything you want. And I see that the way her mind is working, you know, it's like, oh, because you got to think, the kids to kids, like, you're magic. Adults are like magic. You know, you're going around to the zoo, you want a balloon, you want an ice cream. I want ice cream. And they pull out these strange things, the cards and stuff, and you get the balloon, you know. So that's, for that period of time, you're gods. You have to, and she's thinking, well, wait a minute. I have the magic power right here. Why do I need you? I can go buy exactly what I want. You know, so I tell my wife, you know, do we want to just let relatives give her this hongbao? This is terrible. She's going to turn into. And she said, no. She has learned she can't depend on us for every little thing. She needs to learn the value of money. She needs to learn the value of money. Said,
your wife is Chinese.
Yeah, my wife is Chinese. Okay. So I said, okay, all right, you know. And so for the next few days, you know, she's into this hongbao thing. You know, she answers the door. She acts real cute. They give her hongbao, you know. And in a few days, you know, she's there. She's like she set up her own 401k. Buying stock on the NASDAQ. You know, she's like, and so
What's
it's like.
the use of a parent?
Yeah, so she's becoming, you know, this money person, this like financial genius, you know. And it's like, God, this is terrible, you know. So after a few days, she's got this stacks of money and this is before WeChat. So they said, we have some relatives coming over. He said, we don't have any soda pop. We don't have any drinks, you know. I need to go to the convenience store, but I've given all my money away with hongbao, you know. So I don't have any cash. So I go into my daughter's room, you know, and I say, she's there, of course, you know, making her fingers, counting the money and everything with the shades and everything, you know. And I say, you know, look, you know, I need a little cash. You've got all this cash here. How about loaning your father a little bit of money here? And she says, Daddy, you have to learn not to depend on me for everything. You have to learn the value of money. Well, I don't know.
She had learned the lesson.
She learned it very early. She has learned to this day. But I thought, this is terrible.
From then on, did she ever go back home to celebrate Spring Festival?
Are you kidding? With hongbao? When are we going?
But the thing is, that's not a very typical Chinese parents. You know, Chinese parents will keep the money for their kids. Just say, oh, I'm going to give it back to you later.
Did you traumatized as a result?
No, I never got hongbao as a child.
Poor you.
Yeah, because we live far away from our relatives, because I never got anything.
And because you're ugly.
Even my parents don't give me one.
But what about for you, like Spring Festival? No hongbao, no giving out of hongbao either.
As a boy growing up in China, I'm always fascinated with firecrackers. I just stockpile it. And we don't have a lot of money, so I save up the money for the whole year and then buy firecrackers. And after the New Year, we just walk around the neighborhood and pick up the firecrackers that didn't exactly explode. So just stockpile it. Oh, you can tell.
You can tell.
Yeah, and then just stockpile it, put it in a drawer, and wait the whole year until the next Spring
drawer,
Festival.
by the way.
So what you saved was not money. It was like
firecrackers.
Yes.
Firecrackers.
Okay.
And once
Firecrackers can be, in a way,
recycled.
Yeah, exactly. But then, like one summer in August, it's really hot, and we're playing a fire with my brother. He was a lot younger than me, and then we just set the firecrackers on fire, and then it was, you know, really popping and loud. And all the neighbors actually came. They were like, "Oh, what holiday is today?" I was thinking, oh man, when my parents came home, this is going to be the anniversary of my death. My dad's going to beat the crap out of me.
Sorry, it was my brother's birthday. We were just trying to light on the candles.
Exactly.
Not my job.
Went wrong.
Yeah. So that's like a memorable thing, I guess, for a boy.
That's the biggest thing, you know, for firecrackers. And when I was in America, I was trying to repeat the same thing because, you know, like in certain places in America, you can actually purchase firecrackers, like in New Hampshire. Yeah, exactly. So I bought some, and you know, lighting it up, and people tell me, no, you can't. In America, it's illegal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Why in this country guns are legal, but fireworks are not? You know. But then they were like, oh well, don't worry about it. Next Chinese festival, you just fire some guns. You know. Happy New Year.
Oh my God.
I went to New Hampshire once, and they sell fireworks like right across the border.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Fireworks, liquor, all these things that are cheaper in New Hampshire than in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And I went there last time. It was like a year ago.
Yeah.
They had this big rocket this big with the American flag on and everything. It was like America rocket. and then on the bottom it's just made in China. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. And I trust the Chinese to make good fireworks. It's like, you know, this is good.
Maybe something made in France. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah, well. Oh, so should I tell my Chunjie story?
Oh, that would be fine.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yes,
Julian, tell
Yeah,
your
please.
Chunjie story, please. Stop talking. No, no, actually, there's one funny thing about it. I don't know how many relatives you have, or you used to have to see for Chunjie, but for my,
a lot.
because with my wife's family, it's such a huge family. I mean, especially on her mother's side, they have, even the father's side, they have like many kids.
You know they're watching this show too.
Oh, maybe. Well, that's great. They understand English perfect. Yeah, so me being a musician and artist, I'm rather used to calm and a certain type of rhythm, right? So we go back there the first time. It was tough to adapt because we would basically, you know, Sichuan people, they eat and play mahjong all day long. So it's so basically when they get up in the morning, and normally it's like that, but Chunjie is even worse. They start with eating, you know, xiaomian or whatever there is over there, like Chongqing style or Sichuan style noodles or rice noodles in the morning. And then then the breakfast is over, and breakfast was also a gathering, so maybe with some members of the family, and then of course we get gathered, you know, midway for breakfast, because we have to go to the mahjong place, right, which is called tea house in Sichuan, right? It's all called tea house. We drink tea, of course, just to play mahjong. So then they play mahjong, and they always have this guazi, you know how you call it? Just,
the pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, the seeds are, they always eating this, and they will, and they will cut some fruits to be eating, and they're always eating something, like for the whole morning, eating. Then, okay, it's time to eat, lunchtime, so they eat. At the end of the meal, again, some fruit, right? And the afternoon, what do we do? Oh, let's play mahjong. And for the whole day. And after the dinner, which also goes like that, all KTV time. So we go to KTV. How could there be any KTV singing without eating? So it's eating. And so you're like, at the end of the night, you're
But I think it's
drunk,
a great match
everything.
between the French and the Sichuanese.
Well,
right?
Yeah. And
it's a match and a match.
It's exactly, all about food. And France and Sichuan are roughly the same size. And the thing is, the next morning, you're like, okay, that was such a rough day. We're gonna sleep till 9. You're really prepared for that. No alarm clock, nothing. 7 o'clock, my wife's father knocks it down. Okay, in 20 minutes, we eat breakfast with that, and those people, they have come a long way to see you because they haven't seen you in 2 years. And like, oh. And so we have to wake up the kids and prepare everything. So yeah, then we told them, you know, sometimes we don't have that many days to spend here, but we cannot be that full. So much. But eventually I got used to it, and I actually like it. When I go there, and I'm just prepared, you know, and it's part of the
ready for the next show at any time.
And we have to say that the food is just awesome there. But to come back to food, for me, something that has to do with Chunjie, the jiaozi, which is not a Chunjie food anymore, but the kind of Chinese dumplings that used to be typical of Chunjie, and now it's all, of course, you buy some frozen dumplings there, right?
Anytime.
And it's still my favorite Chinese food. Wow. Even though we've had, you know, with Ding Lao Shi, we've traveled, I mean, in 10 years, we've eaten more Chinese food than most Chinese people. We're so lucky for that. But still, jiaozi is like, I have some Shanxi type old vinegar with Sichuan-style homemade spicy sauce, and I'm happy.
Are you trying to bao cai ming for us right now? It seems that you are getting into it.
Go on.
中国来报菜名，来，我们
蒸羊羔、蒸熊掌、蒸鹿尾、烧花鸭、烧子鹅、卤猪、卤鸭、酱鸡、腊肉、松花小肚、晾肉、香肠、听着哇！参鸡白肚、清蒸八宝猪、江米酿鸭子、罐焖鸡、罐焖汤、山鸡、兔脯、菜满鱼、清蒸哈什马、烩鸭丝、烩鸭腰、烩鸭条、清拌鸭丝、焖黄鳝、焖白鳝、豆豉鲶鱼、锅烧鲤鱼、清蒸甲鱼、抓炒鲤鱼、抓炒面鱼、软炸虾腰、软炸鸡、炸白虾、蘸青虾、炸面鱼、炝鱼、粉汤鱼、溜黄菜、腐蓉燕菜、炒虾仁、烩虾仁、烩银丝、烩海参、烩个蛋、炒蹄筋、蒸南瓜、酿冬瓜、炒丝瓜、酿倭瓜、焖鸡掌、焖鸭掌、溜鲜蘑、溜鱼脯、溜鱼骨、溜鱼骨、溜鱼片、粗溜鱼片、三鲜木须汤、红丸子、白丸子、酥造丸子、南煎丸子、干柴丸子、饸饹丸子、三鲜丸子、四喜丸子、通化丸子、豆腐丸子、一品肉、马鸭肉、红肉、红肉、米粉肉、坛子肉、炖肉、大肉、松肉、烤肉、酱肉、酱豆腐肉、烧羊肉、烤羊肉、涮羊肉、五香羊肉、煨羊肉、汆三样、爆三样、清炒三样、黑山子、六白三岁、三青鱼、栗子鸡、煎川活鲤鱼、百鸭、豆子鸡。好 ，The end.
Wow.
Left to right. From left to right.
One dish I never heard of is it's been a while.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
rest
it's
I
been a
heard.
while. What was that?
Yeah, I know.
So you actually picked one dish in the middle of the whole thing?
But
That's
this
a
is
great
like a
dish, yeah.
very traditional Xiangsheng type, right?
Yeah.
But that's to explain a little bit. That's
Yes, please.
满汉全席. So it's not all.
Well,
It
wait,
used to be
wait.
longer.
Some of the audience don't even know what
What
the
is
heck
Manhattan
just
Chinese?
happened.
Yeah.
Julian was reciting some dishes, some traditional Chinese dishes at breakneck speed, like hundreds of them. And it's a traditional Xiangsheng routine where you can do this.
Xiangsheng is Chinese
And it used to be
cross-talk,
the
right?
banquet, the official, like the biggest in the Manchu Qing dynasty, so that the emperor was supposed to that, like the biggest banquet possible.
How long did it take
really?
you to remember all of this?
So the eunuch has to announce all the
Yeah.
dishes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Fun story. That was in 2003, I think. I was living in Shanghai back then, and a student from the theater academy in Shanghai wrote this by hand to me.
Oh,
This is the short version. It's not the long version. Wrote this by hand, and I memorized it, I think, in a week time.
Wow.
Wow.
And because I was in contact with...
Do you have to renew it all the time so that you could remember them? Because it's really
because
hard. It could
I
escape
haven't
anytime.
done Xiangsheng in many, many years. I mean, nearly... I don't know, 7, 8 years. So sometimes, once every 6 months, maybe someone asks me to do this or another one.
I was once
You
approached
think
by a
about
TV
this.
producer who said, we want to do this same kind of thing, but with English, with American like foods. Can you do that? And I said, no, it's not going to work. After about 5, 10 dishes, hamburger, cheeseburger, salad,
Hamburger,
about
cheeseburger,
15
bacon,
things.
Right, exactly.
Google Translation do it. You know?
There's no. Well,
They do all the hamburger names, and then you do the same thing with bagels.
Yeah.
And then you do with
It wouldn't be the same.
You all try to do stand-up comedy or Chinese crosstalk in a very different culture that you grew up with.
You know, humor is just an expression of trying to be with friends. I'm with you guys right now. I'd like to be in a happy room, so I try to make jokes. And if we're speaking English, I do that in English. And if we're speaking in Chinese, I do that in Chinese. But I think a part of it, the part that's really different is really as a professional, when you have to go into a room and you don't control who's there, and you have to look at this audience and say, okay, my job right now is to make you laugh. And in that sense, there may be jokes that I'm trying to find a part of myself that connects with this audience. And it may not be all of myself, but a part of my life and my experience that this audience will understand.
How would you know?
Yeah.
Which part will connect?
Experience.
Part of it is experience, and that's part of why stand-up comedians, as they go longer, they just get better. Like, there are some jokes that I do now after doing stand-up for 5 years here.
Like what?
I have some really old jokes that are just about learning Chinese, some very basic stuff. That
It works every time?
Well, 4 years ago, they were okay, and now it works really well. And I think part of it is because I've just gotten better at doing the jokes. And then I think the rest of it is just as a human being, you just need to connect with people.
Right.
Comedy is the way that I do it, because I'm not a musician. But as a musician as well, you're trying to connect with the audience.
I'm always saying people is that the comedy is great because you get a reaction or you don't get a reaction right away. So because you live out of it. So if people don't, when you're expecting a reaction, there's no reaction. You have, you cannot love yourself too much. You have to understand, okay, what did I miss?
Well, but Julian, when he plays the cello, people actually cry. But when he does Xiangsheng, they actually cry.
Who did that?
Crying is a good thing. In the last, it would be
Well, it's more like ah!
But what about you? I mean, you came here earlier than both of them.
Yes, I came here at the very end of the Qing dynasty.
You've been on the Spring Festival Gala, right?
I have.
That's true. Great achievement.
That's right. I have. I bet you haven't even been on.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I was. There you go.
He was, too.
You were in 2000, right?
Yeah.
Year 2000? Or
1999.
That's
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is it like, find your own humor in a different culture, in a different language almost?
Well, laughter breaks boundaries, Tian Wei.
There we go.
You get a cut to the background.
And,
yes.
No, I mean, the trick then, because see, we were professors and scholars, the trick was, it's like, Jesse feels like, I want to get my humor out there. I want to present my personality. We were more like, I want to learn what this humor is like. I want to learn this skill of Xiangsheng or crosstalk. I want to learn what makes Chinese people laugh. So I was like an anthropologist or somebody, you know. And I found like the only, I find that, you know, when I teach my classes and I tell jokes and stuff, and I find that it takes a while to sink in because they don't laugh at my jokes until they're leaving the classroom out in the hallway and I hear them laugh.
Your jokes are that good?
Yeah, they must be very deep because I have to think about them all.
Right, PhD, there we go.
But I think that's a difference, and I think that, you know, the genius of our teacher, Mr. Ding, that we can talk about later, was that he took it to the next level because instead of just learning crosstalk and trying to learn the skill, he was very much one who said, no, these foreigners, we should give them a chance to express their own personality, including their own personality flaws. So he would find someone and say, okay, you're someone who is not so good at memorizing, but you're very good at improvising or something. So I'll design some comedy or change these traditional pieces.
What's yours?
That was my...
What's your flaw?
My flaw was that I couldn't do what Julian just did, which is to do a long string of, you know, these fast things, or memorize these idioms or fast strings of dialogue.
And you could get onto the Spring Festival Gala?
Yes, because he said, okay, you are sort of a muddle-headed professor, you know. So the piece for me was this called Waipi Sanguo, Huang Hello, you know, where there's a student trying to learn the Peking opera and keeps making mistakes. So he said, it's perfect for you because if you do it right, it's okay.
You're so
if you make
natural.
a mistake, if you make a mistake, it's still funny. So even if I forgot my lines, the audience would go, ha, he forgot his lines. That's so funny, you know. So he found my particular
So you
talent.
see a more comforting environment for you when you're trying to be, or when you find your humorous way, in a way, because you're in another different culture.
Well,
because that culture gives you the space of so-called making mistakes. And making mistakes leads you to bigger humor for the audience, in a way.
That's right. Well, I think the audience could appreciate the fact that we were not professional crosstalk performers. I think that's all. And to even get up and do it at all is amazing. But if you can also get up and make fun of yourself and make fun of the whole process, and Chinese audiences are not inured to that.
So being foreign, in a way, does, quote-unquote, help. Does it help you? I mean, when you were with David Letterman, with Ellen, you know, does it help you are foreign?
It depends, because my story is
very
different
diplomatic.
from...
It depends.
Yeah, it's very different from their story, because you guys came to China, you actually have a mentor. And in America, there's nobody mentoring me. It's just basically I have to figure my way out. And the first 5 or 6 years are really tough, because even if I tell a joke and people are laughing, I have no idea if that's the type of jokes I should be doing.
Okay.
I don't know if this applies to you guys, but a lot of people say that your mind has to be warped a little bit to become a comedian. And the way I warped my mind is basically my experience in America. Because in China, I was a really popular guy among my friends.
Oh,
in
really?
America, I could.
Well, we didn't check about your friends.
Well, we have your friends.
They all deny. But in America, I feel very alone. You know, like in the lab, they would go out and go to a bar, and they wouldn't, you know, ask me to go with them. Just that type of thing.
That's why you said you were Irish, to try to get more easily.
That's a natural escape, huh?
Yeah, I just feel a loss of identity, because in China, I know who I am. In America, for the longest time, I just hope I can point at something and say, this is me. But I just don't have that. So through doing stand-up comedy, I kind of gradually find who I am on stage.
Like who?
Comedian. So I changed my last name. Everything worked out.
Everything worked out, just like that.
It's Hu Ang.
But you know,
on first?
sometimes playing with the cultural difference jokes is a great way of doing it. But at times, people would also feel exhausted about it.
It's shallow.
It's shallow in a way, to a certain extent.
Being a foreign performer, I'd be interested to hear if Joe has the same sort of feel in America. The audience is, there's an immediate interest, but the interest doesn't actually help you have empathy.
Exactly.
So it's you get there a little bit quicker because as if you're an American performer and you're in a room in front of a bunch of Americans, the first question is, why should I listen to you at all? And unless you have really, really good jokes, it's hard to make that first interest. But then if you're the foreigner and the audience thinks, oh, this whole show is going to be about how you're different from me, right? Right? I didn't say anything about that. I just walked on stage. I haven't even talked yet. So it's a little bit easier to get the attention and a little bit harder to connect with the empathy. But if you manage to succeed in connecting with the empathy, even if it's only one joke, then...
And with you, it usually is just one joke.
It's usually just one joke. I mean, I've been here years. It's literally one joke. I have one joke that works.
Well, you're like many singers. They need one song every year. That's all.
Although their one song, they can sing it again and again. I tell one good joke, and then they're like, okay, what's your new stuff? Immediately.
No, the biggest difference is the type of money you make. No, well, to elaborate a little bit on that, you get the attention. There's sometimes some criticism that has been drawn. I think most of us is like, oh yeah, so you're a nobody in your country, and you come there and you become funny suddenly. So it's not you didn't do anything for that.
I was thinking about this because you all find your humorous part in a way in a foreign culture, and therefore, when asked to be going back to your own culture, can you be as funny as you are? Let's just say in China, when you're going back to the United States, can you be? And also in China, can you be as humorous as you in the United States?
Yeah, I think you can. You just have to develop a different act.
It's a very different act, isn't it?
Yes,
it's a very different act.
Yeah, the Chinese audience are more familiar with the stand-up comedy scene, the sitcom, that kind of humor, that plays on logic instead of just wordplay. They're into it now. So. That's why I'm very, very encouraged by recent internet comedy shows, programs, because they're actually telling more authentic stand-up comedy jokes instead of Xiangsheng type of jokes.
Right. Yeah. There's also a change that's happening because of maybe it's Western influence, or maybe it's just the influence of media. Yeah. But there used to be kind of ways of making jokes that weren't comfortable here. For example. We've made a lot of insult humor where you make fun of you poke at the other person. Right. It used to be that this was not a polite thing to do. You could make jokes, but you could make fun of some type of person, but you couldn't make fun of someone sitting right here, like Jesse. I'm making fun of him right now.
But now it's a thing.
But now it's a thing, and they're even doing it the Tu Cao, on the TV and stuff like that. They tried to do it on a Spring Festival show with the host. It didn't quite work because they weren't really. It wasn't their instinct to make fun of other people. Now that's become a part of humor here, and I think there's a lot of styles and things like that. Also things like slightly dark humor or slightly, that's also
all acceptable now.
Yeah, it's becoming more acceptable.
Yeah, but I think still one element that's missing is the awkward humor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because awkward situations.
Well, that's what Jesse's bringing.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
Look at it, camera. Hello, camera people.
I kid, Jesse.
Yeah. Anyway. Just one awkward situation, people just leave. It's just really funny and uncomfortable. But the Chinese audience, they just don't get it. They were like, oh, this is just uncomfortable, or just ignore it.
I think there's also,
yeah.
Although I would say part of the reason of that is because it hasn't been seen so much. It's hard to convince other people before you film the thing this is going to be funny, because the punchline is literally nothing.
I remember when Jon Stewart's show first came out, and he does a lot of these awkward things. He just makes a face or something. Some of my really great writer friends just don't like that show. He was like,
they didn't write anything.
Yeah, exactly. What is the writers doing? There's no punchline there. But this whole situation is the punchline. Is the story.
The craft goes.
Going to be angry about it.
The craft goes into writing.
There's something I used to say. It's stupid, but I always used to try it. People would ask me. This is in the 1990s.
Okay.
They would say, so Dawei Laoshi, or David said, so you just have one child? And I would say, as far as I know. And some of the people
still do it.
And some of the people would say, what? As far as you know, what are you talking about? And then a few people would get it, and then they, oh my gosh, And nowadays people just go.
And exactly what you meant.
Nowadays, very seldom do I get that reaction. People just they even say, what a corny joke.
On the other hand, the Chinese jokes, if I could have your reference to, full of references.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to let someone from another culture, even though understand the language, be able to understand the joke. Is that why you stick to stand-up comedy? Because you don't need to go through all this hard process?
But I get this all the time. A lot of Chinese people say, "Oh, you know, Americans are very easy to make them laugh. I saw your jokes you did in America. You know, it's not even that funny, but they're laughing. It's like you don't know that."
China right now that is a little tougher is interaction with hecklers. I think a lot of people would not take it as well as in the West right now. But I think it's going to come very, very quickly.
I think they already.
Because for meals, I mean, people are already very used to it. Like,
sure.
What you were telling that joke about, you know, as far as I know, I only have one child. Now I think most people are used to this type of humor.
Yeah, can I say that the best heckle I've ever heard in China?
Maybe they would say, I know better than you
Yeah.
do.
Exactly.
Here comes the Chinese.
There's also one difference here between Xiangsheng and, let's say, stand-up comedy, where stand-up comedy, you kind of more or less expect after every sentence, people are going to laugh, you expect all this type of reaction. And with Xiangsheng, sometimes it's a whole passage with the context, with the history, all that, and at the end, you kind of think about it, and the more you think about it, the more you're like, oh, that was so good. But you didn't laugh to the point that your stomach was aching, you know? Different type.
Because Xiangsheng.
The frequency of laughter in Xiangsheng is very different from a stand-up comedy.
The rhythm is different.
It's very different.
But it's on purpose. Xiangsheng is about creating an environment that is the Xiangsheng environment.
Exactly.
You enjoy yourself, you sit back, you enjoy the show.
For people that have watched crosstalk, you almost don't see the real crosstalk. We used to go 20 years ago to Tianjin and see these real, and they would have one piece would be an hour long. And when they started, it would build very slowly, and by the end, I mean, they were just
almost like a storytelling.
On the floor laughing. You can't do that on TV now. You have to get up there within 1 minute if you don't have a laugh. You're off the stage. So Xiangsheng, that kind of Xiangsheng is dead.
Is that really? But I still listen to the old Xiangsheng that really build up the story for a long, long time. But the laughter at the end of it is really killing.
Yes.
And the thing is also in comedy.
I did a comedy show in Tianjin, and I have to say the crowds in Tianjin are the most talkative ones. You know, like for the first 5 to 10 minutes, they try to guess my punchline. It's just every setup,
You have
people
to say
throw
they're
out
the most
punchline.
hardworking audience ever.
And fortunately, they didn't guess a single one. And then after that, they got quiet. You know, I'm just thinking.
That was probably your fault. They didn't guess it. They're like this guy.
You know, if a new comedian, it happens in Beijing, a new comedian gets on stage, the audience guesses a punchline. Oh my God! You know, the guys just feel so dead inside on stage.
Just like the feeling that I felt just now with all of you guys. You got all that punchline. But that is for Xiangsheng because you got a lot of cushioning time because every piece is like 10 to 15 minutes. But for stand-up comedy, you have to do your punchline all the time.
He has a cushioning talk, which is, hi, so I'm Irish. That was the one.
That's like 5 seconds.
For stand-up comedians, a lot of times you have to be prepared that your first 5 to 10 jokes don't work in a new room. You know the
How many jokes you prepared usually?
You know, like for a 5-minute set, at least 12 or 13 jokes. You know, just you should know, some of them won't work in the beginning, so you have to build it up. You know.
Stand-up was, I mean, doing stand-up and doing comedy is just a very useful thing in life. You know that you can try your best and not everything's going to work. Something that worked yesterday will fail tomorrow, and it doesn't mean you're the worst person in the world. Might fail today, it just failed right now. You also know that nothing comes out of your head perfect. Everything is, people are, I'm going to go on stage and they're like, the joke isn't going to be funny. Well, but it's going to get funnier because you go on there. You need to, the most important thing is you need to accept what's happening in the real room is actually happening. You can't live in your own world of how you practice the moment the world changes. And that's why that works, where if the joke bombs, you can say like, ooh, that was rough. And you know, I spent all day preparing for that, and it was still rough.
But you know, laughter breaks boundaries. It's just such a pleasure having you over to my program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All the best. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hi everybody, my name is I'm Jesse Attell.
My name is Bill Wang.
My name is David Moser, also known as Mo Dawei.
I just want to wish everybody a very happy 2018, Year of the Dog. 恭喜发财.
This is the Chinese Year of the Dog, so I'm wishing everyone a doggone good New Year.
Want to wish everybody a happy 2087. We've made it through the robot war. Go home, be with your family, eat some jiaozi.
I want to wish everybody a happy Spring Festival. 10,000 things the way you want them. Something like that. 万事如意.